All right, I'm back real quick. I finished doing the fill-ins back here in the backyard, all the burst spot fill-ins. It was some spots where that really didn't too much need filled in, but it was thin in that area, so I just went ahead and put some down. It was actually a couple more spots than what I noticed at first that I needed to fill in. But that's one of the good things about walking your line. And like I said before, if you see any inconsistencies and things like that in your line, you basically can put a plan together to take care of all those inconsistencies. Get your line nice and healthy. So basically, just like I said, I'm just gonna put a little bit of water down in those spots. I have to fill that up a couple times, but just go get a little bit of water down on it right now. The soil is still moist, as I can feel it now. The sun really just came out, so the soil is still really moist. So I just basically get a little bit of water down on it. And you can basically tell the drainage in your yard as you pour the water down. Like if the water sits on the top and don't really drain down, that means you have a poor yard drainage, and that could be a cause of issue if you're having line trouble as well. But just coming back and putting a little bit of water down there. Like I said, in all those spots that you filled in. This is just a 2-gallon water pail, so I actually have to fill this up a couple times just to get a little bit of water down here. I haven't done the front. Actually, all these little spots that I filled in, believe it or not, the mixture that I put in the wheelbarrow in my last video is actually in these spots back here in the backyard. So all that mixture in the wheelbarrow that I had, I just filled in these spots back here in the backyard with that. So I have to do the other mixture, the other bag of compost, and the other half a bag of topsoil with some more seeds to do the front. Actually, I may need to run back out to St. Louis Compost and get some more compost and some more topsoil, because I did have a bigger area in the front yard that I actually have to get done. So I actually need to make more of a mixture. That way I can get all that done. But just so you can basically just see the yard. Like I say, when I took the pictures and everything, cut it earlier today, the sun wasn't out. So the sun is actually behind you right now, or behind me. So like when people look at stripes in your yard, it's basically depending on where the sun is. Because striping your yard is not hard. I know I have been asked a few times, how do you get those stripes in your yard? And for the most part, just with the thickness of your yard, the grainness of your yard, if you have a nice thick grain yard, those stripes will come up a whole lot more profound. You'll be able to see it a whole lot better. Basically, the only thing the stripes is that you're doing, you're just bending the grass blades different ways. That's it. That's all a line stripe is. It's just bending the grass blades different ways, and the sun reflecting off of the bend of the grass. So that's really the only thing. There's nothing magical about line striping. It's just bending the grass blades either toward the sun or away from the sun. That's really it. Like when I mowed this morning, this first lane here, I went up on this first lane. The second lane here, I came down, went up, came down, went up. So you can basically just see how it goes when you bend in the grass blades, either toward the sun or away from the sun. And it basically just gives you the line striping. And that's it. That's pretty much it. So line striping is not anything that somebody really does special to the yard. It's just, like I say, bending the grass blades in opposite directions. But the greener your yard is, or the greener your lawn is, the better your line striping will look because of the darkness of the green going away from the sun compared to the lightness of the green going toward the sun. So that's really it. That's what makes your lawn look a certain way. But it just depends. I mean, some people don't like lines in their yard, which is totally fine. I'll basically just cut a different way for people that don't like their yard striped. But me, myself, I like my yard striped, especially when it's a nice dark green color, just to see the contrast of the yard. And like I say, with the fill-in spots, that'll probably be about 3 weeks before that actually the seeds and everything start developing those good strong roots and the germination start coming up at the top. So like after you do some backfills, you want to be careful when you do your cut. That's why I went ahead and did this when I cut down to 4 inches. Because cutting your yard or cutting your lawn after you backfill like this, with the lawnmower pulling everything up, as the lawnmower rotates, or as the lawnmower blade rotates, it actually pulls the grass up to the blade and cut it. So if it's pulling the grass blade up, you know exactly what it'll do to these seeds, the soil, when you're actually mowing. So you want to be careful with mowing over that. And like I say, I'll say maybe 3 weeks until you start seeing some germination. You want to make sure you water roughly about 3 times a day. You want to make sure the soil don't get dry. You want to make sure it stays moist until the grass germinates. Once it germinates, you get up to probably about 2 inches, 2-3 inches, then you should be good. It should be just about becoming established, and you can actually lay back off of it. As far as watering as much, you can actually water maybe deeply 2 to 3 times a week. Once it grows to roughly about 3 inches, 3.5, maybe 4 inches, you can actually do a deep watering once a week. After that, and it's established, basically just get watering whenever the rest of your lawn get watering, whether you're under your irrigation system or the rain over the spring. Another thing, over the summer is one of the, let me see, how can I put this? The summer and the winter is the toughest on lawns. So when you're looking at doing your grass seed, you want to look to see what climate you're in. How harsh is your winters? How harsh is your summers? And like I say, I'm turning my yard over to a tall fescue yard. Tall fescue is tough as far as the grass itself. It can basically take just about anything, drought, anything like that, but you still want to make sure that you take care of your yard. Over the summer, with it being, high 90-degree weather, 100-degree weather, you want to make sure you keep water on your lawn. Other than that, it'll actually burn it. You want to make sure if you're putting down any weed control, any granules as far as weed control, insect control, disease control, any granules, anything like that on your yard. You want to make sure that you water that stuff in, especially in the summer. Because if it sits on your yard or sits on your lawn, with that sun coming down on it, it will burn your lawn. So you want to be careful with that. Same with fertilizer. If you're using fertilizer, the granules, you want to make sure that all that stuff is watered in. That way it can get to where it needs to get to in the root system of your lawn, to where it can do the work that it's supposed to do. Oh, with the filling. You don't want to fill your yard when it's real high. 6 inches, 7 inches, things like that. You really don't want your yard real high when you're doing your fill-ins. I cut my my yard down to 4 inches this morning. Good thing about that, or you can cut it down to 3 if you want to do it down to 3, depending on what type of grass you have. You really don't want to go too low. If you got Bermuda grass, you may want to cut it down to a 2.5 inch mark, or something like that. Zoysia, St. Augustine. Just look at the cutting height to see what you actually want to cut it at. When you do your backfills, you want to make sure that your grass blades, it's not so high that it's really blocking the sun of your germinating grass. So that's why you don't want to fill when your line is extremely high, because the high grass blades will actually block the sun from your new grass that'll be germinating in. So you want to make sure you keep that cut pretty low. Another thing about thick grass, what I was talking about earlier with your fertilizer, if you come back to overseed, weed control, insect control, any of your granules, things like that, with thick grass, it holds those seeds and holds those granules. The thinner your grass, like I say, when it rains and stuff like that, the thinner your grass, the easier it would be for the granulars to wash out. The thicker your grass, it has to rain harder to wash those granulars out, because your grass is nice and thick, and those granulars are basically stuck into your grass. So when it rains and stuff like that, if it's not really a hard rain, mist rain to a mild shower, you actually can get the benefits of the whatever nutrients or pre-emergence, post-emergence, and things like that that you're putting down. You just want to make sure that your line is nice and thick for that. All right, I'm fit to get ready to do my mixture so I can come back and do my spot treat in the back. I'm just gonna go ahead and work on the backyard today. I was gonna do the front yard as well, but there's a couple other things that came up that I gotta get taken care of. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the backyard finished up. So I'm gonna come back on and do a video so you all can see how I do my mixture for my spot treating. Now, this is just, like I say, this is just a spot treat. I've already treated the entire line with Spectracide Weed Stop granulars probably a month ago. So I'm basically just coming back to do a spot treat of weeds. And like I said, when I say spot treat, like this area right here, I just spray that with some weed control. Go around, look and find another spot that got weeds in it, spray that spot with weed control. I'm not treating the entire lawn today. I'm just spot treating the stubborn weeds that are still there from when I treated the lawn about a month ago. After this, I'll let this basically sit for about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Then I'll come back with my purely organic lawn food fertilizer, and I'll fertilize the entire lawn, front and back. Let me see. Oh, how do I get more usage out of my product? Because I said, as far as like with this yard, the stuff that I did to this yard last year, I think I spent maybe $250. What I would have spent on the same thing was roughly about $550 to $700 getting the yard in the shape that it's in now. How did I do that? All right, when you put down weed control, when you put down fertilizer, when you put down ironite, when you put anything into your lawn, what that does, I get a little spot right here. So when you put all that stuff down, it goes down into the soil, comes back up through the grass blades. All right, so all the nutrients and all that stuff that you put down goes into the soil, grass blade soaks it up, comes back up, the grass roots soaks it up into the roots, comes back up as the grass grows through the grass blades. So as you cut the grass, grab one of these. All right, so as you cut the grass, your nutrients are in the blades of the grass because it's coming up through the roots, coming up through the blades of the grass. I did bag my lawn today because it was getting a little bit higher, and I wanted to go ahead and get the as much of the dead grass and clippings and things like that out of my yard from when I cut the yard a couple days ago, when I cut it down to six inches. So I did bag today. But since I bagged today, the next time I cut my yard, I'm going to side discharge my clippings. Reason being, like I say, these clippings have fertilizer in it, have weed control in it, all that stuff. So if you side discharge your grass blades, for one, it's going to deteriorate back into, or decompose back into the lawn. Your grass blades are basically nutrients, filled of nutrients and all different type of things that you put into your yard. So I side discharge my next 3 cuts. As I side discharge my next 3 cuts, as it rains, as I water it and things like that, the grass decomposes back into the soil, which is putting those nutrients or weed control and all that stuff that you put into your lawn, is putting it back onto your lawn again. So basically, off of 1 bag of weed control that I put down, I get 3 to 4 applications out of that 1 bag. So instead of me going to Home Depot or ordering my weed control stuff offline or off Purely Organic, calling my Purely Organic rep and getting it in. So instead of ordering that stuff 3 to 4 times more, I would just basically order it once and side discharge. That way I get 3 to 4 applications. So I'm continuously getting applications of weed control, fertilizer, and things like that over my yard. Now what I'll do, I'll side discharge my yard. Like I say, the next 3 times that I cut, that's why I say I'm gonna wait about 3 to 4 weeks before I put my fertilizer down, because the spots that I spot treat with the weed control, I wanna make sure that gets into the grass, into the weeds, and kill the weeds before I come back with my fertilizer. One of the things people do is they put down weed control, they put down fertilizer, they do everything too quickly, and it doesn't give it a chance to do what it's supposed to do. If you put down weed control, it's gonna take probably about a week, depending on how you water it, for that to actually get into your yard. If you turn around and you put fertilizer down, right after you put weed control down, that fertilizer is basically strengthening your grass roots. So if it's strengthening your grass roots, what is it doing to your weed roots? It's strengthening your weed roots as well. So you don't want to fertilize your yard right after you put weed control down, because the weed control is not going to do what it's designed to do. So you want to make sure you give those products time to work and time to do what it's supposed to do. That way you can get the best result. You don't have to spend as much money. You can save that money, and you can still have a pretty decent looking yard. But if you're putting everything down a lot quicker than what you're supposed to, it's not going to work, and you're going to have to buy product after product after product to do what you actually could have did with 1 product, and you could have tripled the uses of it, or the usage of it. So just make sure that you're giving the product time to work before you go to your next step. That's why it takes so long for lawns to, get to a certain color, as far as like with the green That's why it takes so long for lawns to get rid of weeds and things like that, because you have to give product time enough to work. As the product works, you'll be able to see a difference in your yard. Well, not in that, I gotta fill all that in. But you'll be able to see a difference in your lawn. You'll be able to see the greenness of your lawn come